Hi there, and welcome to the Mindful Marathon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk, a run coach and pediatrician. Mindful Marathon is all about helping runners of all types to run their own race. Whether you are a seasoned runner or you're just getting started, I want to let you know that you're welcome here and that you're in the right place. Hi, my friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we have a great episode called The Power of a Fresh Start. And before we get into it, I just want to mention that we had a wonderful time this weekend at the Rudolph Run, which I think I mentioned a few episodes back, but the Philly Runner puts on this lovely event in Manayunk, one of the neighborhoods in the city. And I love it because it's not official in any way. And what I mean by that is there's no chip time, there's no bib. It's a free registration, and you bring canned goods for the Northlight Community Center and get a raffle ticket for a variety of prizes at the end. Everybody wears their best holiday attire, ugly sweaters, jingle bells, Rudolph headbands, and you do a 5K down the canal towpath, which is a super fun trail. And this year, I got to meet one of our Mindful Marathon athletes, Margaret, and her daughter, and that was super fun. And I also met some new friends, talked to some strangers who are now friends, which was a great time. And although I didn't win anything during the raffle, they really gave out tons and tons of prizes. So if you are in the Philly area, just, put that on your radar for next year because it's a really good time and it's a wonderful way to get together and just share the spirit of the season. Now, today's episode, so I wanted to talk about this because when we hit January 1st, everybody starts discussing New Year's resolutions. And we know that there is nothing special about the first of the year, really. We just put meaning behind that date, and that's when people decide they want to do a resolution. But we know that it doesn't really work. And as physicians and busy professionals, we often think about fresh starts around academic calendars, schedule shifts, the holidays, seasonal transitions. And so December naturally brings about some time for reflection and this like energy to reset. And I have goal setting on my mind because we just had our really amazing goal setting workshop last week. I had a wonderful group of ladies who came live, and since I have it on my mind, I decided that I'm going to do a mini goal setting workshop to help close out 2025 and step into 2026. And this episode is going to be a super abbreviated form of what we did at the live workshop. And if you want to take a deeper dive after you listen to this, send me a message and I can get the replay over to you so that you can work through the exercises that we did together before the new year and hit the ground literally running in 2026. So, first of all, to set the scene, why traditional New Year's resolutions don't work. So, I have some statistics here. Less than 10% of Americans feel they are successful in keeping their resolutions at the end of the year. So, that's not great odds, right? And 88% of those who set New Year's resolutions fail, despite about 50% of those people being confident of their success at the outset when they set the resolution. So there's a variety of reasons why this doesn't work. A lot of the time, we are very all or nothing about it, like we're going all in or nothing at all, instead of setting goals that are actually achievable, right? You've heard of SMART goals, I am sure, and we can talk about that. Sometimes the resolutions are based on external pressure or comparison. Sometimes they are vague, something like, I'll run more. Like that's a little bit too vague to be achievable. And then sometimes the resolution is rooted in guilt. Most of these often rely on motivation instead of systems and support. And we talked about motivation a lot in the last couple of episodes. So if you haven't listened to those, head on back before you listen to this one. But a lot of times, motivation is not what is going to get you to the start line or over the finish line. So, resolutions don't often consider seasonality, stress levels, sleep. For the doctors out there, they don't consider our clinic schedule or our hospital schedule, that we're working different shifts and weekends. I think as busy professionals who are runners, we need incremental goals and compassionate planning. And what we don't need is a complete overhaul, right? Like, I think most people head into January 1st and they want a complete overhaul of their life, of their fitness, of their nutrition. And we know that that just doesn't work. And I think we need a kinder, gentler way to approach this. December provides the perfect time to reflect, reset, and choose what matters before we get swept up in the energy of a brand new year and before we come up with this all or none thinking and a complete overhaul of our life. Okay, so so here we go. I have some questions. So again, this was based off of the goal setting workshop. Now I've done two of these live, one last year and then one that we just did last week. So this is sort of a mini version, and I have condensed the questions. If you are in a place where you can write, that would be the most helpful. But we'll go through this even if you're driving or you're running. And when you come back later, you can always listen to this over again with a pen and paper. So here are some journaling prompts. So we start the workshop with reflection, and we do that so that we can gain wisdom and learn from what we've done in the past and what we did this year. So the first question is, what are three things I'm genuinely proud of in my running or fitness this year? What are three things I'm genuinely proud of in my running or fitness this year? Now, I want you to think big and also think smaller scale. So, thinking big like a PR, a personal record. Think running your first type of race, your first 5K, your first half marathon, your first marathon. And then I also want you to think smaller scale. Maybe sometimes we don't do this enough. Things like I got out the door on days or weeks that were really tough. I built consistency, right? So think big and think small. The second question is, why did each of these wins happen? Why did each of these wins happen? Did you have support along the way? Did you have a training plan? Did you have a coach? Were you sleeping better? Were you fueling better? Did you have better self-talk? So why did each win happen? The third prompt, the third question is, which routines, habits, or mindsets supported you this year? Which routines, habits, or mindsets supported you this year? Some examples I'll include would be something like changing the way you train. So, really concentrating on easy runs or zone two running, using run walk intervals, changing up your schedule, early morning runs, running with a friend, adding strength training, setting gentle goals instead of rigid ones. Understanding why something worked is how we decide what to repeat. One of my mentors, Dr. Una, shout out to her, she always says, do more of what's working. So it's true. So write down the things that worked for you this year. And now on the other side of that, we're going to write down what didn't work. And I want you to think about this and examine this without judgment, which is really hard. So the fourth question is, what felt heavy or what didn't align with your life or energy this year? What felt heavy? What didn't align with your life or energy this year? Maybe you took on too many things. Was it too many races, too many A races? Were you skipping recovery? Did you rely on motivation to get out the door instead of having systems in place to get out the door and run? And again, I want to invite you to be compassionate here. So we're just collecting data, we're writing it down. This is not to say, like, okay, I failed at this thing, but we're using this reflection to move forward. Okay, now we're going to go to next year. So I want you to take what we've just learned from 2025. And the fifth question is now, what do I want to do more of in 2026? What do I want to do more of in 2026? How does that look for you? Do you want more morning movement, more joyful miles, more fun, more rest, more strength work, more support? I don't know what that looks like for you, but what do you want more of? Write that down. And then number six, you can probably predict, what do I want less of next year? What do I want less of in 2026? Maybe that looks like less comparison, less all or none thinking, less training from a place of guilt, less overcommitting. These are going to be intentions for 2026. Now we're almost there. I have a couple more. For the next part of this, I want you to think about the goals that you have set for 2026 and think about what words come to mind. Okay. And so, question seven is when you think about the goals you have set for next year, what words come to mind? Some examples of words might be steady, strong, ease, fun, believe, consistent, joy, presence, mindfulness. Question eight is there one word that is all encompassing and that could be your focus for the year? Is there one word that is all encompassing and that could be your focus for the year? I know I previewed this in a prior episode, but I found that this is really helpful to have a word of the year. The word becomes sort of a base for the decisions and the training and what you decide to do with your year. And I think this year, 2025, was the first time that I picked a word of the year. And I'll explain that it came to me while I was swimming. And perhaps it's a little bit cliche here, but while I was reaching for the wall, the word came to me, reach, like in big capital letters as I was reaching for the wall. And I didn't settle on it right away. I just sat with it, like, okay, that word came to me. I wonder why that came to me. Let me just think about that. And it kept coming up for a couple of weeks. And so I decided, okay, I'm taking that with me into 2025. And it started with very basic, improving my swim form because we had decided we were signing up for this half Ironman race. And we signed up for the race in January and the race was in July. And so I had some time and I had been swimming, but I needed to improve some things with the swimming. So that was how Reach showed up initially. But the more I thought about it, I also wanted more reach in my run coaching business and in my job as a pediatrician. And so I'm just going to tell you how this unfolded and played out so that you have a sense of what this word of the year could do for you. So I swam a lot more this year. We got through that half Ironman race in the summer in very rough water. If you listen to that recap, you know what we what we swam through, but the lake almost had whitecaps. Like it was a very hard swim. And so thank goodness for all of that swim practice. Now, in other areas, I met many new friends. I brought more athletes into our Mindful Marathon family. I grew my podcast and my social media presence. I reached more of my colleagues in medicine. I have connected better with patients and kiddos and families in the PEDS office. I did more outreach to support the amazing nonprofit here in Philly, Students Run Philly Style, including featuring them for an event called Podcastathon back in the spring, and interviewing one of my athletes, Dr. Alex Fix, who was a charity runner with the Students Run for the Philly Half Marathon last month. So if you didn't listen to those, check out episodes 27 and 58 to hear more about the Students Run Philly Style. But the point of all of this is to say, do you see how one word can have this ripple effect? Like, when I was in the moment in the pool, I was really thinking about the word reach just in the sense of my swimming. And as I sat with the word over the next couple of days and weeks, it grew into this whole thing. So, back to the question, is there one word that is all encompassing and that could be your focus for the year? Now, I'm still pondering mine for 2026, but I'll have it soon and I will share it when I decide on it. If this podcast episode, if the reflection exercises that we did and the mini goal setting session that we did felt good to you, and you are craving going a little bit deeper and you want a more strategic way to set your 2026 running goals, we just wrapped up my year-end running resolutions workshop where we worked through a lot of questions and exercises to set goals intentionally, mindfully, and with structure. It was truly one of the best workshops that I've led to date. And if you missed it, I don't want you to worry. For a very limited time, I'm offering the replay. It's available for purchase. If you want to start 2026 having a plan with real action steps, this is for you. Check out the show notes for how to access it. So there we have it. Thank you so much for joining me to take some time to reflect on 2025. And I want to encourage you to share your word for 2026 with me. I'm on Instagram at mindful.marathon. Just DM me over there or send me an email. I would love to hear your word and maybe a little bit about why you chose the word. Now, next week, I will see you back here with a special holiday episode that I'm looking forward to. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast so that we can reach and encourage others to tie on their sneakers and join us out there on a run. See you next time.